Hi everyone and welcome to the Football Manager 2021 beta. We've dropped this evening. I'm trying to get the first episode out as quick as I can, so it's going to be a little bit rough around the edges maybe. But welcome along to the very first episode of my beta battle against Marcelo Bielsa at Leeds United. One season, can I do better than him? Let's find out. So yes, as I say, this is going to be a little bit rough around the edges maybe. I've just dived into the game, set up my manager, I've set up a tactic. That's all I've done so far. Nothing else has been moved on in terms of dates. So the first thing that we're going to be doing this evening is going to be looking at the tactic, looking through the squad, looking at what Leeds have already done in the transfer market, and then playing the inter-squad friendly against our second 11. That's the plan for today. If we can get through all of that, it will give us a glimpse of the new game, a bit of a glimpse of the new features, some of them that are around. We'll go through a couple of press conferences, see how they work as well. So yeah, here we go. More, loads of exciting stuff to come in this cycle of Football Manager as we start out with Football Manager 21. If you're new to the channel, it's great to have you with us. In the links below, in the description below, should I say, there's links to my Patreon, my Twitter, my merchandise store, all of the good stuff. So go and check all of that out. Give me a follow on Twitter. That's where I'll drop all of my video links when I release them, etc. But yeah, you're really welcome. If you're joining me again, having been with me for the last few months, then welcome back. I've had a bit of a break just to refresh a little bit, so I'm really excited about Football Manager 21 and getting going with it. The other thing that I want to say just before we do start properly is that this is purely the vanilla version of the beta. I won't be adding anything into it until the official launch of the game, just because it helps us to identify some of the bugs, etc., that might be in the game. So there won't be any logo packs or face packs or anything else added in until after the official launch. So that's why it's going to look a little bit bare here and there. But I hope it won't spoil the fun that we can have together through the next couple of weeks as we go in through the beta battle against Marcelo Bielsa. He's a tough cookie to crack, though. He's doing really well so far with Leeds in reality. So let's see how we can start. So if we go into the news feed, we'll see that we've taken charge of Leeds. We've got some players in the last year of contracts. That's not going to be an issue for us particularly, because we are only doing one season. The beta battle is purely and simply one season. Can I do it better than Bielsa? So that's no major problem for us. We've got a tactical direction required. I've already sorted that out, so I'll go and show you that in a second. Club vision, there's a couple of required elements. Developing players using the youth system. We've got working within the wage budget. We've got things like reaching the 5th round of the FA Cup and finishing mid-table in the Premier League as a promoted club. That's quite high, but, you know, Leeds are doing well in reality, so let's see if we can match that. But those are the key required things for the vision and the expectation meeting. So we'll accept the current vision. Pre-season preparation. They're due to return from pre-season for pre-season soon. We're going out to Singapore, it looks like, for our pre-season training camp. Let's see what else we can find in here, if anything. There's 6 weeks pre-season, so we've got a little bit of time to work with the side. Between this episode and next episode, I will go through the summer transfer window, finalise all of my preparations, and next episode we'll be playing the first Premier League game of the season. So that's in episode 2 that will drop tomorrow as we speak. I am currently recording this at 9:30 on Tuesday evening, so Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. English time is when the next episode will drop, and it will be at 6:30 every evening UK time through the beta. So that's the plan. So we've got a couple of bad injuries, unfortunately. We've got a couple that have got reoccurring ones, but this is the guy that's out for ages, Berardi. He's out for about 8 to 9 months, and he's a good, able replacement at the right fullback area. At 31 years old, plenty of experience, and he's basically not going to be here for the entirety of this season. And we might have to do something about that the right fullback berth, because Ayling is pretty much the only one that we've got, really. So we've got squad selection rules. We'll figure that as we go. The English transfer window is ongoing. There's been loads of activities. We will go and check that out in a second and see specifically what Leeds have already done. And then we've got the introductory advice telling us who we should make captain. There's some good youth facilities. We'll sort all of this out in the pre-season. But yeah, it's going to be a fun challenge, I hope. As I say, Bielsa's going to be tricky to beat. But let's give it a go. So if we go and where are we going to go? We are going to go into the transfers. And let's see what transfer business Leeds have already done this summer. So firstly, we're going to deal with the outs for the summer. And you can see that most of it's been on free transfers and loan deals. Well, all of it, to be honest. They haven't really sold much, but they've bought a load of players in. £99 million spent already. Let's go and click the fee button and get to the top fees that were paid out first. Rodrigo from Valencia, an awfully big fee for Leeds United to pay out. A good player, though, can play in loads of different positions and might have to cover a couple of those. We've got some weaknesses in central midfield specifically, and in terms of the depth of the squad and those fullback areas we'll talk about when we look at the tactics. But this guy, Rodrigo, comes in for a big fee, but is going to be really key for us, and we'll start possibly in the central midfield role as the attacking Mezzala, possibly, but we'll talk about the tactic in a minute. Then we got Llorente coming in as a central defender. He came in for, what did he come in for? 18.25 million. So a lot of it is expected for him. Goes straight into the first team also. And Llorente will be playing alongside either Koch or Liam Cooper. His name escaped me there for a second, but either one of those will play alongside Llorente as our first choice central defenders. Rafinha, a good player, wide player, left and right. You can see that he's better on the right than he is on the left, so he will cover mostly that position. Will get a lot of game time, I'm sure. Won't necessarily be the starting right-sided winger, but he will get some game time. Then we got Helder Costa at 26 years old. He also can play both sides, but again is primarily on the right side for us. He's going to be the first choice, I suspect, to start the season, and we'll see what happens between him and Rafinha as we go along. Then we have the aforementioned Robin Koch, who is going to be one of our central defenders, with Liam Cooper switching alongside Llorente. So he comes in and is useful to have. Goalkeeper, young goalkeeper. Now, apparently this guy's 20, but if you see him in real terms, he looks like 15. He's really young looking, Meslier. And he's going to be fighting with Casilla for the number 1 jersey in terms of goalkeeping. And we'll start in the first team, and we'll see whether he can hold on to it. And then we've got some slightly lesser transfer fees being brought in. And then we've got Harrison at the bottom here, who can play, again, wide right and wide left. And we'll start on the left for us primarily to start with this season. And we'll see how he gets going. But Harrison comes in on loan from Man City. He's worth £22 million, got some good attributes. I'm happy to have him. Great determination. So we'll see whether he can sort of set the place alight for us a little bit. Excuse me. So yeah, that's all we can really talk about in terms of transfers. I'm going to be going back into the transfer market a little bit. It might have to be a couple of loan deals maybe coming in. We'll see who's on the free transfer list as well. If we go into the home page and we switch these about, I'll have to figure a way of how to set these up so they don't revert back. But we've only got 3 million in the transfer kitty, which is not a great deal, is it? Because they've spent so much already. So a couple of loan players maybe, a couple of fullbacks would need to get, maybe a central midfielder. 25k per week left in the wage budget. We've got some issues to sort out with that. We've got some key fullbacks on loan in other clubs, unfortunately, because we could do with them, really. Douglas is out on loan at Blackburn. Might not be the best fullback in the world, but he could certainly have done a job for us. And we are a little bit thin on the ground. And De Bock is also out and he's on loan. And so there's a bit of a glaring issue with our fullbacks, as I've said. And especially the right-sided fullback, because the only cover that we've got is the guy that's out for 9 months. So we've got to figure that one out. So I will do that as we go along. But that's the transfer business that Leeds United have already done this summer. Hopefully we'll be able to do some more. But now it's time to go into the tactics page and figure out how we're going to play this season. So pretty much I've been guided in terms of style of play and formation by the recommendations as I've been building this tactic. So we've gone into the 4-3-3 formation that I think Leeds United pretty much play anyway. We're using the custom Gegenpress. I haven't changed a great deal about it. I've reduced the tempo slightly, but not a lot. I just think that at the moment it's quite intense, as you'd expect from Leeds. And we're going to struggle with rotation of some of these players if we don't just suppress that slightly. But we'll see how we get on as the season goes. So both when possession has been lost and when possession has been won, we'll be counter-pressing and counter-attacking. So there's going to be lots of high-impact movement moving forward. And then out of possession, really extreme urgent in the press. We've got a much higher line of engagement for the strikers and a higher line for the defensive line. Hopefully we won't let too many balls in behind us, although Meslier is very good at coming out and cleaning some of that up as a sweeper keeper. So that's not too bad. We've got a couple of new things here. The conditioning has now changed into these hearts. Rather than the percentages that were before. So that's going to be interesting. And you can see that match sharpness currently is negative for everyone because we haven't really even started the training yet. So that's why all of these are red and pointing downwards, I guess. So there's going to be some movement in that as we go through the pre-season. So the first team that we're going to put out is for the game in the against our second string 11 is going to be Meslier in goal, Ayling at right back, and Dallas at left back with Llorente and Cooper in central defence. Phillips, Cleek, and Rodrigo in central midfield, Costa on the right, Harrison on the left, Bamford up top. And I'm going to get some of those names wrong for now, but I will get used to them. Absolutely I will. But it's just going to take me a little bit of time. And then pretty much everybody else on the bench. And what we can see here is with Berardi out, and we've got De Bock and Douglas out of the club on terms of loans. We are a little bit threadbare. I've looked through the development squads, the second string 11 and the under 18s or whatever it is that we've got. And there's not a huge amount of quality there. I might have to go and look again now that I've properly looked through the main squad though. It's going to be a little bit tricky, I think. We are going to have to find a couple of loan moves. Anyway, for the first time in FM21, let's do what we're all here to do and go and check out what the match day engine looks like. So let's get into today's game and see what happens. So actually, before we get into the match, I've been through the team meeting just to introduce myself to everyone. It went pretty well. They were fairly content by the time I'd finished, which was great. But I thought I'd show you this particular one. This is the start of my first press conference. You can see the press are lined up before me. I've got my press officer, Leah Hill, by my side, and we can start the press conference. So let's click on start, and you can see that Adam Smith now asked me a question. How does it feel to be the new Leeds manager? And we get a load of gestures to choose from and a few different options in terms of how we respond, positive through to neutral. On this one, there were a few negative ones in my previous press conference that I had with them, not press conference, meeting I had with them. So it does go from positive all the way through to negative. On this occasion, positive and neutral. I think I'm going to just no gesture and just say I really appreciate the chance I've been given and understand the challenge that lies before us. And then we move on to the next person in the press conference. Why Leeds? What was the allure of coming here? I think we'll go positive with this one. So we'll smile warmly and we'll say it's a massive club and we'll appeal to anyone. They're built for success. Excuse me. And Lee Glover gets to ask a question, which is, was there anything that gave you reason to doubt whether this was the right job? And we're going to absolutely go for absolutely no way at all. Shake head as if to dismiss the last statement. Shake head. Yeah, I'm going to do that. We're going to be absolutely on the ball here and say absolutely not. I'm only concerned with repaying the faith that this club has placed in me, and we'll work every day to make sure that happens. We get another one from Lewis Mully. What made you take this job? There's a couple of kind of crossover questions here. It feels like no gesture. I think the ambition is fantastic. Darcy Swain. Well, to believe you'll be quite heavily focused on the integration of young talent. So you can see that the questions remain largely the same in terms of the press conferences that we've had before, but the layout and the setup hopefully engages you a little bit more, makes you pay attention to who you're answering questions with. So we'll go with this one, smile warmly, and we'll say, I intend to give those deserving of a chance to prove that they can play at this level. Task for you to follow in the footsteps of legend. Yes, he is. Bielsa, obviously. He's got them into the Premier League. Now this upstart joins the club. Why wouldn't they respond a little bit kind of dubiously? How do you think you'll measure up to your predecessor? I'm going to say that's for others to judge. Leeds clearly have lofty ambitions. Are you the right person? So we're going to absolutely open my arms wide, encourage everybody to love me and accept me. I'm confident in my managerial abilities. Does Leeds have a squad quality in this squad? That's an interesting one. They do lack a little bit of depth. So can we find something that goes along with that? I don't know the answer to that question yet. The players will have to show me day by day. We're looking forward to discovering. This is the one we'll go for. The club has high standard of player and I trust them to achieve the targets we set. So that's pretty good. Have you introduced yourself to the squad yet? Only very briefly. So we'll go with that one. Can we go with that one? Why can't we go with that one? Oh, do we have to pick one of these? Smile warmly, and then we can go with this isn't a short-term thing, although it is, because I'm only here for one season. Let's go with that. What's your approach to the training ground? No gesture. Let's click on that. There's always a balance to be made. Anyway, you get the idea. I think I'm going to finish off this press conference. But for you guys, let's go and check out the game as against our second 11. So here we are at the start of a game, a brand new setup for how we've come into the game. A pre-season match, obviously, just against our second 11. It gave me the choice to manage both sides if I wanted to, which was quite interesting. So let's see what we've got going on here. We go to kick off straight away, do we? I think I probably missed the page out and didn't go in and give much of a team talk, but that's okay. The commentators are in place and ready to go. Let's see what next happens. Oh, what have we got here? Yeah, we know all about this. I've done all of this before, so we don't have to do anything about that. During the match, keep a close eye on each of the players performing, adjusting the instructions accordingly. Don't be afraid to make changes. Okay, so this is where my bench, my first team are, and my bench are off screen, and I can drag them in and make changes. So we'll click on next. Then we go, making quick changes couldn't be easier. Tell the players what you want them to do by changing up your tactics. So this is how we currently set up, and we can click into them and change it quite easily. You can see it's been pared down in terms of what's on the screen for the match day in certain aspects of it, but giving you a load more detail of stuff about the players down the bottom of the screen, which is really interesting. More detailed changes to your tactics are possible as well. So we can change all sorts of stuff really easily. There's the shouts button down the bottom there. We got loads and loads of more information we can drag on through the little boxes as is usual. We'll come out of that. How do we click out of that? There we go. Now we get to kick off basically. So I guess we're going to be in the white. I'm just going to check on the actual, what do I want to call them? These things. I can't even think straight. This is so bizarre getting the new game at this point. It feels like it's quite bizarre to have waited this long and now have it. So we're going to change to the TV. We're going to reduce the height and we're going to increase the zoom. This is how I normally set up my matches. We're going to go one above in terms of match speed on key highlights for now and just see how we get on. We're going to up those. Replays are on and we're going to switch to the behind the goal for that. So I think that's all we need to change for that. So let's get going. Let's get into this first game against our second 11. In theory, we should beat them, but it'll just be interesting to see how the match engine works, really, and how smooth it is and how well it works for us. And that's the first highlight come and gone as a kickoff, and we're going to have to change the way that the page is set up, I think, between highlights just to make it how I want it to be. But the first attempt goes to our second string 11 and they fire a shot in at goal, and it was, yeah, quite some strike, wasn't it, really? Loads of information being given out here. We have to figure out what we need of this and what we don't. But it's kind of a bit overawing, really, at the moment, just to take it all in. But in terms of the match play itself, I think it's a smoother experience. It feels like everything has been, there's been loads more animations added in, so players move better and move the ball better, etc. So we'll have to see how we can improve the performance of the whole game within terms of what my computer can do as we move on. But so far I'm pretty impressed. Obviously no fans in because it's only an intra-friendly match between the two Leeds squads, so we'll get more of an atmosphere when the fans are in. Obviously a bit of an interesting subject for these days as we look at it currently, but there we go. I think we're losing to our second string 11. Poveda has come in and scored a goal after 24 minutes or so, got through on goal, pokes it into the bottom corner, and we get a little bit lost, don't we, in that defensive unit by keeping hold of who's running where. So a good chance for Phillips on the free kick, though. Cross comes in, but they get it out quite easily. Ayling picks up the loose ball, though, back out to Phillips on that far side. Cooper takes over the possession, and eventually it comes to Click, and he puts it through to Costa, and nicely through on goal, left-footed, drags it into that near post, and the goalkeeper can't quite get down to it, and we find a way to get back to 1-1 fairly soon after we went 1-0 down, which is positive to see. Good through ball, and Costa took it really early, didn't he? Very early, and that was a really good finish from the left foot of Costa. The match stats suggest that we are ahead in terms of the amount of shots at goal. We don't quite have the possession that our second string 11 do. You can see that we picked up a yellow card. Lots of stuff going through here in the dugout that it'll just take our minds a little bit of time, I think, to get used to exactly what we're seeing on this page. And here we are at half time, and again it looks completely different in this sort of page, doesn't it? Here is the match stats, so you can see that we're doing pretty well in general terms. And then what have we got here? Half-time backroom advice. Based on the observations from staff and analysts of how the match has played out so far, we have the following recommendations. We have seen Jack Jenkins getting skinned all too often today. Okay, good. Is that a good thing? I think that's a good thing. And then we'll see what happens with the... it's XG. Okay, the expected goals. In theory... there should be something here that will help us out. We only put out an okay performance according to XG, as our total XG was very similar to the opposition's. Yeah, well, okay. I don't know what to make of any of these things. I'm going to have to spend half my time through the transfer window where we're playing friendlies, really deep diving into some of that stuff. And here we get to the half-time team talk. And again, you now see the new setup. Substitutes down the right-hand side. The rest of the team, the first 11, sitting down my left-hand side and in front of me. And I get to talk to individual sections of it, or the room as a whole. I get to throw the gestures in, and then I get to make points along the way. So we're going to say, put the hands in the pockets, so we're not sort of overly aggressive or overly emotive. We're just going to say, let's see, let's go with unlucky boys. Things just haven't gone well for us at the moment. Got a bit of motivation, which is fine, isn't it? That's good. I'm going to make a couple of substitutions in a second if I can figure out how to do it. It all feels so strange at the moment, but there we go. Okay, team talk complete. That's fine. Don't need to do anything else. What we're going to do here, though, we are going to change a few things. Now, this is not the sub bench that I thought I was getting when we set the side up. So there was obviously something in the transition when it asked me which setup I want in terms of who my opposition from our lower sides was going to be. It's obviously changed it around a little bit, and I've missed out a section of giving the team talk at the beginning of the match, etc. So I've obviously missed something there, so I'm not quite sure what we've got to work with. So let's see what we've got. We've got Kenner, a youngster. He can come in for Phillips, just because we've got to keep him healthy. So how do we do this? Do we drag that? I don't know what I'm doing. Does anybody know what they're doing? Okay, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to go back into the second half, and then we're going to pause the game immediately, and maybe it's here that we can make some substitutions slightly easier. So if we click on the subs, then we get them come up. So we're going to take Kenner. We can't drag anyone. That's kind of surprising to me. I'm not quite sure how to do this just yet. So let's go the other way and pick Phillips. Substitution off, Kenner on. Now I understand it. Okay, so let's go to Bamford. Substitute off. We're going to bring Macmillan on. I don't know anything about these players, but I don't want our stars to get injured early on. So let's take Lorente off. Can we do that? Why is it not letting me click on any more? Tactical changes will take effect at the next break of play. Okay. I don't know what's going on. There we go. We've pressed play anyway. So let's click on him and substitute him out for Casey. And then we can take Costa out. And we're going to put in... Let's put in Sam Greenwood. Those are the changes I'm going to make. It all feels so weird at the moment, but I am really impressed by the gameplay. I think it does look an awful lot smoother, even though I'm being absolutely torn apart by people in the squad that I thought was on my substitute bench and not in my second string 11. So maybe if you choose the second string 11 rather than under 23s was the other choice. That makes sense. I chose the second string 11, and so it took my sub bench and put them into the squad for my opposition. If I hadn't have done that and I've chosen the under 23s, I would have kept my substitute bench. That makes sense. Finally, I'm beginning to understand a couple of little things. It's kind of interesting the amount of stuff that's on the screen all of a sudden. The visuals here of the focus of attack we've seen before in the previous game, so that's helpful to see in that spot. But it's the dugout, the section here that rotates through when the highlights aren't on. There's a load of stuff there that comes through, like these amount of passes or whatever this one particularly is. It's all a bit over. I'm just so lost at the moment. But there we go. It will feel second nature within a few days, I have no doubt. Let's focus on the game though, Kev, for goodness sake. See if we can figure out how we can get this Leeds side to play better than we are. So we've got 15 minutes or so left. Greenwood, one of the subs on the ball, but it's nicked away from him, but we get it back again. You can see that we leave ourselves quite isolated at the back, don't we? That's something that we are going to have to figure out. And the cross came in, but it was blocked, and Rodrigo comes away with the ball. I think we are going to get found out with that. I think the gegenpress from the 4-3-3 might not be the way to go. I think I might have to be a little bit more withdrawn and subtle about how I get this team to play. Otherwise, we're going to pile forward too much, and against some of the better opposition, they're going to get in behind us and cause all sorts of problems for us. So we might have to fill up our 3 different tactics with 3 different ways of playing. Disallow goal for Macmillan. Offside, and quite easily. So you can see that when the ball went through, really. But Ayling wins the header, and there's some good play. But it wasn't wasn't quite as a big a margin as I thought it was, to be honest, but it was definitely offside, so that's unfortunate. A couple of minutes left, we're still down. I can't say that bothers me because I'm absolutely befuddled and bemused by all of the new setup and how to do anything on it. So just getting through the game, seeing the match engine in full working order, which was really great. I must say it does look smoother. I'm going to have to play around with my view, I think, a little bit and other bits and pieces. But actually, quite impressed by that. So let's just go back into the dressing room. I don't want to spend too long here on this particular occasion. So we'll say... luckily, that was only a friendly. You'll need to play much better than that in the competitive matches. Got a couple of bits of reaction from that. That's fine. Can I just end it there? Let's see what continuing does. Friendly United battle for victory, but it wasn't my United, was it? It was the opposition. Tyler Roberts picked up an injury, playing for the second string 11. It's definitely the issue that I had. I should have chosen under 23s, then I could have kept my entire squad and worked my substitutions better. Anyway, Llorente picked up a knock for a couple of days as well. That's not too bad. We're not going to overanalyze the performance or anything. It's just the first friendly of the pre-season, so we'll leave it there for now, and we'll just go in and check out in the schedule who we've got in our opening fixture for next episode. So there's a couple of really interesting things to note here, actually. First off, we've got a few friendlies, and one of them, Connors Key, was one of the teams that I managed in my Journeyman series last year, and I didn't set these up at all. This was done by my staff, so that's kind of a bit of a coincidence, isn't it, really, that we get Connors Key in the first friendly, proper friendly match of the pre-season, but the first Premier League game is against Manchester United. And we've got a really, really tough start. Now, is this the real fixtures? I don't know if it is or not. I didn't pay enough attention to the real fixtures as we started the season. But Manchester United, Arsenal, Leicester in the first 3 games of the Premier League season. You can't ask for much tougher than that, really. So it's going to be very hard to get off to a good start, isn't it? We'll have to see. But next episode, we will come back and we will play the home game against Manchester United. Fierce rivals of Leeds United, of course, from days gone by when Leeds were a bit more of a force than they currently are. Can we do something to upset the mighty Manchester United at this point? Are they still mighty in the game or not? Who knows? We'll have to find out. It's going to do it for today. I did say that I think it would be a bit rough around the edges, and it's certainly been that. So apologies for that. But it was worth just getting going, really, and figuring some of this out. And then tomorrow we'll come back, play that United game. We'll have been through a transfer window. I can update you on all of that kind of stuff and show you what happened in the friendly matches also. And we'll get going properly into the season. Thanks so much for checking this first episode out. As I say, if you're new to the channel, go and look in my description. Loads of links in there to stuff. Go and check out all of the links and see what you make of how I've set myself up as a YouTube content creator. For those that are returning, welcome back. This is going to be a fantastic year. I've got no doubts about it. We're going to do some fun stuff. If you haven't checked out my my save reveal video that's on my channel about all the things that are coming up, go and watch that as well. But until next time, it's time for me to say goodbye for this point. So take care of yourselves. I'll see you very soon, i.e. tomorrow at 6:30. Bye for now.